This review for GoldenEye has spoilers. I just need to make a correction. The US release date for No Time to Die is on April 10, 2020, which is on a Friday. Initially, when I first started this weekly movie marathon, I saw that the release date was Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. My guess is that when they released the release dates for No Time to Die, because No Time to Die comes out to the UK first, that it will release earlier than the rest of the world. But with that, I guess early sources told them that it would come out a week later in the US, which is that next Wednesday on April 8th. But it already corrected to April 10th without my knowledge. So with this week starting on Friday, February 14th, happy Valentine's Day, by the way. For this week, the 17th week, you watch the 17th movie of the James Bond franchise, and that is GoldenEye. My rating for GoldenEye is a 4 out of 5, and here's why. GoldenEye, originally released back in 1995, it is directed by Martin Campbell. GoldenEye stars Pierce Brosnan, his first time acting as James Bond. It also stars Sean Bean, Famke Janssen, Isabella Scorupco, and then a new M played by Judi Dench, and a new Moneypenny played by Samantha Bond. Desmond Llewellyn still portrays as the good old quartermaster Q. It had been 6 years since the release of the last James Bond movie, License to Kill. And from its release in 1995, a lot of the graphics have improved since then. With the opening gun barrel sequence, we see Pierce Brosnan as James Bond walk out, and with the gun barrel scene a little bit more shinier than usual. I mean, in the mid-90s, there was a lot of improved computer graphics when it comes to the visual effects in movies. And then the prologue, we see Bond infiltrate a Soviet base. He would first jump down a dam, which is a damn good stunt. As 007 would infiltrate the base, he would meet up with 006. Which 006, his name is Alec Trevelyan. Something would go awry, and we would see 006 get killed by General Oromov. And then we see another stunt where James Bond has to escape them and catch a plane, where at first he attacked the pilot, but they both fell out of the plane, and that small plane is unmanned. So what he did was he got on this motorcycle another enemy was on and drove off the cliff while trying to catch a plane. Another very cool action set piece in the movie. The title credit sequence happened, and again, on the improvement of visual effects, the title credit sequence looked really good with the special graphics and whatnot, in comparison to the last film in License to Kill, where you see those graphics were kind of still 70s, 80s-ish, and then you have the computer visual effects that is the 1990s. The title song GoldenEye is sung by Tina Turner, and it is written and produced by the boys of U2, The Edge and Bono. The song had a mix of that classic 70s, 60s feel with a modern day spin to it. Tina Turner is a great vocalist with this song. Once we get into the main movie, we see that this is 9 years later. So therefore, that incident in the prologue happened back in 1987. I kind of figured they picked Pierce Brosnan because he kind of looked like Timothy Dalton a bit in terms of his look as James Bond, so as to kind of continue the story. It starts out with Bond getting an evaluation from a MI6 agent who's sitting with him in his Aston Martin DB5 as they're driving about through the roads of Monaco. There they run into a woman in a Ferrari, and they had a little fun race in the beginning. Bond became suspicious of this Ferrari and the woman in the Ferrari. As he continues to investigate, he investigates that this is a hit woman. She is attached to the criminal organization of Yanis. As James Bond investigates further, her name is Xenia Onatopp. There we would see General Oromov still alive and that he is working together with Xenia. They end up stealing a stealth EMP resistant helicopter that was being presented in the port of Monte Carlo as a demonstration of the new technology, but Bond was unable to stop them stealing the helicopter in time. There, General Oromov and Xenia would go to this Russian satellite facility where they specialize in space technology. There, they would steal what is called the GoldenEye. The GoldenEye is a program that controls a satellite in space to shoot down a wide blast EMP to disarm and disable all electronics in a certain radius. As Xenia and General Oromov would steal that GoldenEye, they would also kill everybody in the facility except for two people. Both are computer programmers. One's named Boris, which we would eventually find out he ends up working with General Oromov, and the other is Natalia Simonova. She is the true survivor of this attack. When we cut back to Bond back in London, where he's in the MI6 facility, there he's talking with M, and there is reference about the old predecessor of M. It is played off as if they are the same person. Bond would go to Russia to investigate in St. Petersburg. There he would meet an American CIA contact named Jack Wade. You would think it would have been Felix Slider, but in the previous movie, Felix Slider got his legs bitten off, and I'm guessing after that incident he would retire from service of the CIA. But with Jack Wade, he's kind of a stereotypical American, which at first when he didn't say the secret code and whatnot back to Bond kind of attacked him for it and forced the code out of him. But we'll see Jack Wade come back later on. He brings comic relief to a little bit more serious James Bond movie. They end up facing Yanis, which is actually Alec Trevelyan, and the whole backstory of the Liance Cossacks, and the fact that this was all a ploy all along since that mission 9 years ago. Bond meets with Natalia, then Bond and Natalia get caught in a Russian military base. Bond has this action sequence where he's chasing them in a tank. It's a very cool action sequence. At one point, Natalia gets captured by Alec Trevelyan and the rest of them in a train, and then Bond would crash into that train with the military tank he was using. He would jump out in time and then rescue Natalia. They would end up killing General Oromov there. After Alec and Xenia escape, Natalia would try to ping them and find out that they are going to Cuba. Alec needed to go to Cuba to go to another Russian satellite base in order to use the GoldenEye, since the previous base they were at was destroyed. Now, we would not see a car chase per se with special weaponry. In this movie, the BMW Z3 convertible was featured. It was first shown during the Q scene. Q described what was on it, but it never was used. And then we would then see it again driving in Cuba with Bond and Natalia. Bond and Natalia would find out that the hidden Russian satellite base is hidden under a lake. They would end up killing Xenia as they were approaching that base. And then, of course, action and drama in between. There's a cool little moment with the exploding pen. One of the devices Q gave Bond was an exploding pen, where if you click it 3 times, it sets it. If you click it 3 times again, it disarms the grenade inside the pen. So there's this moment where Boris was fiddling with the pen with his fingers and clicking the pen. And then it's a really cool scene, and James Bond would time it right. At the time, Boris would click 3 times to arm the pen of the explosive. James Bond would hit his arm off and hit the pen and blow up the facility. I really enjoyed that pen scene. That was a cool, tense moment in the movie. And then James Bond would have this pretty epic fight on top of the scaffolding of that satellite. And then James Bond would end up killing 006, Alec Trevelyan. After Natalia and Bond escape, they would end up in a field and start to make out, per the usual ending of these James Bond movies where he would make out with the Bond girl. But it was disrupted by Jack Wade and the Marines that were hiding under the grass. GoldenEye, its story was well done. It was a great story. It had a whole different layers to it. Martin Campbell did an excellent job directing this movie. Pierce Brosnan was amazing, performing as James Bond for the first time. And the tone of this movie, like with The Living Daylights and License to Kill, it was a little bit darker in tone in comparison to the previous James Bond franchise movies. This combination within the movie GoldenEye is superior in comparison to the previous James Bond movies. GoldenEye is definitely one of the best James Bond movies out there in terms of its quality. That is my review of GoldenEye for week 18 of my James Bond weekly movie marathon. It's the 18th movie of the franchise, and that is Tomorrow Never Dies. Please like this video, comment down below what you thought of GoldenEye. Please subscribe to the Spell Go YouTube channel if you haven't. Thank you for watching.